Hello and welcome to I Hate Filming in Public. Hey there poetry pals, welcome back to another video. This week I will be going on a walk and rating and reviewing all of my travel reads since July. I actually made a part 1 of this video, which was all of my travel reads for the first 3 months of traveling. You can go and watch that here, but this is sort of the part 2, everything I've read in the last 3 months. This is actually my last week of traveling, so we will be back to normally scheduled content in a couple of weeks, which is really exciting. But before we go any further, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications. The engagement really helps small creators like me get found. While we're on the subject, why don't you follow me on social media? I am at Josie Alford Poet on all of the things. And if you want to support the channel using your wallet, then you can find me on Patreon or buy me a coffee, and the links to do both are in the description down below. Okay, that'll do. Next location. So the last book I read after filming my last video was actually I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy. And I actually made a full review video on the YouTube channel, so you can watch that here. Okay, 1 sentence review. Devastating, well written, can't wait for the novel. I'm going to say that's 1 sentence, right? Awesome. So the next book I read was The Truth of the Divine by Lindsay Ellis. I really enjoyed this. It's the second in her trilogy, which is all sorts of sci-fi, and it is cracking. Proper mid-noughties nostalgia as well. I loved the book, and the writing style is awesome and very easy reading. Although some of the chat moments, which were like MSN chats or whatever, they were hard to read on my e-reader. So that is something to bear in mind if you're going to read it digitally. The next book I read was Iron Widow by Zhao. I've probably butchered that pronunciation and I apologise. It is their debut, I was about to say debut album. It's their debut novel. It made it to the top of the New York Times bestseller list, and it is absolutely excellent. Like fantasy, steampunk, historical, it's just awesome. And the ending of that book is just like, I'm sorry, what? How are you going to leave me like this? So I'm excited for the next of the series as well. It's a nice view, isn't it? Scenery's not bad either. Hey. So the next book I read was Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This was one that was actually recommended to me by one of my followers because I'm actually doing the Storygraph Genre challenge this year, which is 10 books across different genres that encourage you to read beyond what you're reading before. This was actually my first romance novel, and it is by a Black British author, Talia Hibbert. And let me tell you, it was pretty sexy, and I really got into it, and it turns out I think I like romance now. Trey kept rolling his eyes because I kept getting steamy whilst reading the book. I kept being on the beach like, oh my, and he got kind of mad at that, but it was a great book. You should read it. I'm going to give it 4 stars. The next book that I read was One of Your Own, The Life and Death of Myra Hindley by Carol Ann Lee. The reason I chose to read this book was because on my list of things to read was a true crime book written by a woman, and this just happened to be included for free on Audible, so I decided to listen to it. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars, but now I think it's actually a little bit generous because I don't think the book was that good. I certainly, you know, as someone who is a fan of true crime and lives in the UK, I was definitely aware of the Moors murders and Myra Hindley, but I did learn some things that were new to me, but it did border on the lines of glorifying or trying to understand or justify. I don't know. I didn't love the book, to be honest. So 3 stars. So the next book I read was because of the genre challenge, but also because I've been meaning to read it for a while, which is None of the Above by Travis Alabanza, which fits into the genre challenge of a memoir or autobiography by a trans or non-binary author. I have met Travis a few times. They've performed in a lot of the poetry events that I've been to, and they are wonderful. And this book is a sort of, yeah, I guess it is a memoir about being non-binary and what it means to, like, reflections on gender, the binary, whether it serves any of us. To be honest, whilst having a lot of non-binary friends, it is not something that I've really thought that in depth about, other than accepting them. And this book really helped me to think about the issues surrounding non-binary people a lot more, and to understand a lot more. So I'm grateful that it exists, and I rated it 5 stars. Thank you for writing this, Travis, and thank you for teaching me about it. So the next one that I read was actually based on the genre prompt of a book about politics outside of your home country, and I picked Nothing to Envy, which is by Barbara Demick, and it's about Barbara Demick was a journalist who was based in South Korea and interviewed a lot of North Korean defectors, so it's a lot about life in North Korea. Definitely recommend, really interesting, especially paired with Yeonmi Park's In Order to Live. So those are 2 books that if you're interested in learning about North Korea and the experiences of people there, read those. Can I tell you about the next book? Sure. The next book I read was called The Firekeeper's Daughter. This was based on the prompt to read something by an Indigenous author. I can't remember who recommended it to me, but it was one of my followers, and I can't thank them enough. This book was incredible. I loved learning about the culture, and then reading about what the writer wanted to achieve with that book by calling it like an Indigenous Nancy Drew. Amazing. 10 out of 10, recommend, 5 stars, but worth saying there's a whole bunch of trigger warnings there, so check out reviews of the book to double check if you're in a space to read it first, but cracking.
So those are all the books that I've read in the last 3 months. It's definitely less than the last video I made. I've been wondering about why that is, and I think it was partly because of the travelling routine. I made that video in Korea towards the end of our time in South Korea, and then we went on a bit of a whirlwind travel, which included a lot of group travel as well as a lot of time with our friends, which meant that I had less solo time to sit and read. And then our time in New Zealand as well, whilst we've been back to camping, which would normally lend itself to more reading, we have been on the go way more. So yeah, that's why I think I haven't read as much. I am trying to be more understanding and gentle on myself, but there you go. Now I'm going to tell you about all of the books that I am currently reading.
Okay, so I'm actually currently reading 4 books, which is a little bit excessive, I admit. Number 1 is I downloaded The Silmarillion on audiobook. This was because we'd listened to the Lord of the Rings trilogy whilst driving around Europe, and I thought, why don't we listen to the Silmarillion whilst driving around New Zealand? Let me tell you, we're 2 chapters in and I abandoned it. The other reason I started reading it is because we caught up on the Rings of Power, and I thought it would be cool to check in with our knowledge of the Second Age. Didn't even get to the Second Age, to be honest. Not sure if I'll finish it. Great to read, bad audiobook. So the other one that I'm listening to currently is actually a re-listen to Barack Obama's promised land. And let me tell you, it's amazing. Absolute comfort listen that we like to listen to when we've run out of data or we don't have any signal, because we've taken to listening to music in the van, but if we haven't got it all downloaded, can't listen to it, can we? So we started re-listening to Barack Obama, and it's one of the best audiobooks I've ever listened to, mainly because it is also voiced by Barack Obama, which we love. So yeah, definitely recommend that. And I'm going to follow it up with Michelle Obama's audiobook, which is also read by Michelle. So go and read that too. Okay, so the other ones that I'm currently reading is another follower recommendation. And it's called Abandon Me by Melissa Fabos, I want to say. I will make the name flash up here. It is it's a series of essays by a new to me author was the thing for the genre challenge, and it's tough going. It's really emotional. I'm finding it pretty devastating, and I'm not that motivated to read it too much. But it is good. But it's heavy going. And then finally, the last book that I'm reading is a poetry selection by a New Zealand poet called How to Be Happy Though Human. And I can't remember the name of the poet. I don't have the book on me, but I will. Editing Josie, help me out.
No worries, filming Josie. This is the book. It is called How to Be Happy Though Human, and it is new and selected poems by Kate Camp, and love it.
Yeah, so I'm only partway through, but the poems so far are really wonderful. I find them very relatable and really cool to find something that is so inspiring. I found it very inspiring to read, so I'm glad that book exists. Okay, and we are back at the van. That's it for this week's video. A bit more of a chilled one. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like this video, subscribe, comment with what you've been reading, and turn notifications on. My next video will be out in a couple of weeks, and hopefully I'll be back to a bit more of a regular schedule after that. My travels are coming to an end. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. You can follow me on social media. I am at Josie Alford Poet on all of the things. And if you want to support the channel, then you can join me on Patreon, or you can buy me a coffee. The links to do both are in the description down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye.